Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Stanisci of NLL Lacrosse Talk. Welcome to the Spanglish World Sports Network and Zingo TV Channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also Smart TVs 2016 forward. Our co-host is Gary Groob, and our very special guest is Duffy McCarthy. Hey, Duff, how's it going?
Hi, Duff. You there?
You there, Duff?
Yeah, I'm here, Gary.
Yep, we're just saying hello. Say hello.
Hello.
There you go. Okay, the first question we ask everybody, doesn't matter what. Normally, doesn't matter what position they hold, except for one exception. That's the commissioner. Everybody's picked up a stick. How did you start the game? How did you start playing?
When I was 5 years old, we lived in Malton, Ontario, and at our school, a father brought 5 lacrosse sticks to the school, and nobody even knew what the game was. And it's now Mississauga, but it used to be called Toronto Township. And I picked the stick up, and I honestly had that stick in my hands every day, banging the ball off the curb or at the school off the wall. Fell in love with it. They finally made a team up and started to play. So I started at a very early age.
A wooden stick.
A wooden stick. And most of the people seeing this little Duffy McCarthy banging it off the curb every day used to say to my parents, "Is that like for fishing?" Seriously, nobody knew what the game of lacrosse was.
I totally sincerely believe that. So the progression that you made, we'll get into more detail. Gary has some really detailed questions, but just as a preface to what we'll be talking about, you went from a player to management. What was that big jump? How was that jump for you?
Now, what do you mean by management?
Well, being involved with lacrosse, you were involved beyond a player, right?
Well, yeah, I played. I mean, I played like every kid did. We played it. It was in Toronto Township, but I ended up at 15 at the age of midget, and another really good friend of mine, Pat Differ, who Gary knows. We both made the junior A team, which was the Toronto or Mississauga PCOs, and so once the game was over, if you're talking about management, I ran lacrosse schools. I taught kids in Malton. They built lacrosse boxes, like 2 of them in our town. And I mean, I would go there every day, and the kids would come, and they knew me and I knew them. And I coached a girls lacrosse team while I was playing juniors. So yeah, I was involved in more coaching than management.
Like coaching is as far as my question goes, it's the same thing. The whole point is you made the transition from player to, when I say management, I mean beyond a player. And then there's general managers, there's coaches, there's people that run organizations. There's when people put down their lacrosse stick, they usually pick up another thing that they do because they love the game so much. And I guess maybe what I should have said is, how did you put back to the game after you retired? Is a more appropriate question.
Probably, I was a 2-sport athlete too, but in my town, everybody knew me as either the hockey player or the lacrosse player. But I mean, how I kind of gave back is I love the kids, and I love teaching the kids, and I like being at the lacrosse box, even when the game was over. So, I mean, I guess that's how I can answer that question. I enjoyed hanging with the kids and teaching them a little bit.
There it is. Gary?
All right. Well, let's go from the beginning, eh? Let's talk about the junior hockey. We're going to talk about the Dixie Beehives to begin with. They were talking about 68 or 69. And you're playing with greats like Paul Warren and Al Gordonier as well, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of lacrosse people, and the Beehives is a very good junior B hockey team, and great memories with them guys. I mean, because in the summer we played lacrosse, and in the winter, I was able to play with them guys with the Dixie Beehives.
Right, and when you're with it, you talked briefly. You were playing with Pat Differ on the PCOs. You're about 15, junior B. Let's just talk a little bit about the team itself, because again, not exactly word of mouth. It was about how it got across to people. How was it received?
It was great. It was actually junior A, Junior B. You mentioned Junior B.
Right.
Nice thing for Pat and I, being 15 years old, we were in our second year of midget, but we're playing with Barry Salavera, the McNeils. We were playing with guys that were, well into their 19s, 20s. Rick Dudley was on the team. So for us, we were kids, and we were just amazed riding around the buses with these guys, and they taught us to be men. I'll be honest.
Right. Now, who coached you in these teams?
Our coach with the PCO team was Ray Shipway, and he had played for the Port Credit Sailors senior lacrosse years before. When we were kids, we used to go and watch the Port Credit Sailors play at a Port Credit Arena. So good coach, great bunch of people.
Right. And in 1970, you actually went to the Kitchener Rangers, and you're playing alongside guys like Bill Barber, Larry Robinson.
Sure did. They were great buddies of mine. It was kind of a thrill. We had won the championship with the Beehives, and I was actually in my last year junior, and I was coming out of a lacrosse game, and I get a call from a guy named Punch Shear, was the general manager, and I had a great series with the Beehives, and he said, listen, we're losing a right winger, and I need a right winger for Bill Barber. He said, you're on our negotiation list. Would you come to camp? I went to camp, had a great camp, and I made the Kitchener Rangers. And, it's not something that I really thought I might have been doing. But on the other side of the coin, my coach with the Beehives was a guy named Frank Milne. He took over St. Catharines Blackhawks, and he called me when I was at camp with Kitchener and said, don't sign. I want you to come to St. Catharines. So it was kind of interesting. But I chose Kitchener because St. Catharines went to the Memorial Cup that year, and I was able to play power play time, and they gave me a lot of ice time with the Kitchener Rangers. It was a great year.
Right. Now, most guys would just be concentrating on that alone to try and make it further. You get called up in 72 by the Brampton Excelsiors to play Senior B lacrosse and win a championship.
Well, that was interesting because we had a really good junior team. Gus McCauley was our coach with the junior team, and the Will Fong brothers were playing senior then. So they brought up 4 or 5 of us, and we played in the President's Cup, and we were juniors, and all of us played really, really well. And so that's how that happened, and we won a Canadian championship with it.
Right. And in 73, you won the Canadian Senior B championship with the Windsor Warlocks, right?
Yeah, and that was kind of interesting because I was on the floor with Gus McCauley and all my buddies from Brampton. I mean, the Will Fongs, everybody. And my plan was to play for the Brampton Excelsiors. Like, I didn't want to play anywhere else. And Gus McCauley, funny enough, came to me, and he refereed in the NHL. He's passed away now. His son's refereeing in the NHL. I think you know that. He said there's a couple of guys in the stands, and apparently my rights for hockey were owned by St. Louis Blues. And he said, Jim Bishop is involved with the Detroit Red Wings, and he said they would like you to go visit Windsor. They have a senior team, but the Detroit Red Wings own your hockey rights. And they said, you're going to Detroit Red Wing camp next year. And I hadn't even been told other than by Gus. And I said to Gus, I really want to play here, Gus. Like, you're trying to send me to Windsor. He said, Duffy, there's no money in lacrosse. You got a career in hockey. They're going to treat you well. You're not even going to work. You're going to skate at St. Clair Shores Arena in the summer, as well as play lacrosse with the Hows. I met Gordy, Mark, Marty. It was amazing. I skated all summer. I was going to Detroit Olympia, working out. We won the Canadian championship there in Windsor, so it was the best thing I could have ever done. And then when I went to training camp after we won the senior championship again, like the President's Cup, I knew everybody in camp, and I got a 2-year professional contract with the Detroit Red Wings. And I don't think it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Gus McCauley saying, go do it.
Right. Now, you touched upon being a 2-sport athlete, but really, 2-sport athlete is 2 professional sports, because at the time you were going through with Detroit, the same time you were there with the Tomahawks.
Well, the interesting thing was when I signed with Detroit, they sent a team to London, England called the London Lions. Right. And they were every guy that was on the team were American Hockey League players. We were all signed professional contracts. Bruce Norris was trying to start sort of like an American Hockey League in Europe. And then there'd be other teams that would be involved that would have teams maybe in Sweden. So we played 70 some odd games in Europe, everywhere. We played in Czechoslovakia. We played in Switzerland. I can go down the line. So Sweden, Finland, you name it. Best year of my life. So, but what happened was, while I was there, the lacrosse league started happening, and I get called then by Jim Bishop, and he says, you've been drafted to the Toronto Tomahawks. And I didn't even know this was about to happen. So I come home from having a great year in Europe and making some money, and then I go right to training camp with Toronto Tomahawks, and that's how it happened. So the two-sport athlete, I mean, I finished my hockey season, had made money, and I came home, and now I'm playing lacrosse. It was amazing. Like, nobody gets a chance to do that as a two-sport athlete.
Sure. Let's concentrate a bit on the NLL in the 70s there, because of course a lot of your teammates and friends are associates of mine as well. You know, the John Grants, the Johnny Shooter Davis is all former guests of ours as well. Let's just talk about the league in itself. Jimmy Wasson, he always mentioned that everything that we have now, what we're striving for, you guys already had, and we're just trying to really reinvent the wheel and get back to where we were.
Yeah, it's funny. I so much appreciate, after meeting you, what you guys do. I mean, I love the game. But I think the game could go further than it even where it is now. I'm excited about the pro league and everything else they've got going. So it's interesting. I mean, just the fact that you have the love for the sport. The 2 years that we had Toronto Tomahawks and we had the Boston Bolts. One of the things I think that happened was it should have never been played in the summer. Arenas like Maple Leaf Gardens was the Toronto Tomahawks, and the old Boston Garden for Boston Bolts. It was hot in the arenas, and most people aren't in an arena. They're at beaches, or they're in the case of Boston, Cape Cod. That comes to mind, so we weren't drawing really well, but drawing well. But I think now, like the Rock and them, they play at a different time because they're playing during the hockey season, and I think that's good.
Now, I'm actually holding up I have an old Boston Bolts program, and if we look carefully, we'll see that there's Duffy right there.
Yeah, I got
nice
more
stash.
hair.
You and Rick Dudley looked a lot alike at that time.
Yeah, well, Dud was a little bigger than me.
Right. Now, John Grant when he was on the show, he had mentioned that league, after it folded, was like winning the lottery and then losing the ticket. Is that the same experience you had there? It was such a great thing, and then more or less, the Montreal Olympics kind of helped towards kiboshing the league because so many resources went towards that, let alone arenas.
Totally true. It's exactly what happened. When the Olympics came, they wanted to move the team to the Paul Sauvé Arena, if I'm right, and it just wouldn't have worked. I mean, the Forum was something that was special. And, for all of us, I never forget, it was at Square One in Mississauga. We had a meeting, and none of us knew that this was even happening. We all just planned on going back to Boston, and Grant and the boys were going back to Philly, and they had this meeting, and Morley Kells was there, and Bishop was there, and they laid it down. They said, you know what, it's over. And it was a shock to all of us.
Right, yeah, because you guys had it was a 40 some odd game season. You guys more or less were full time at it, and it had everything that we're looking. Big arenas, historic arenas, really, because you're in Maple Leaf Gardens, Montreal Forum, Long Island, all these places, Boston Garden, all these places that we're striving to get into now again with the NLL. You guys had that was the big selling point, really. The other thing was Ed Tepper comes to mind, and the Philadelphia Wings, and John Grant had mentioned the first year there was all the interest because of the wood floors and hearing the thump, 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 thump of the ball and the players and everything else and the excitement. And then when he saw this carpet on indoor soccer and started putting it down and the carpet started coming down, the next year it lost interest because didn't have any sound because of the carpets. Do you agree?
Probably true. I remember like the Toronto Tomahawks at Maple Leaf Gardens is a wood floor. And yeah, it was pretty neat playing on it, and the sound, and like you said, definitely, it made a big difference when they went to the AstroTurf.
Right. Now, when Johnny was on, Johnny Davis was on, we were talking about different surfaces playing and the different reactions. How many different surfaces did you wind up playing on? Because I know it wasn't just a concrete or just a wood floor that you would have played on.
Well, back when we were like, if you think about Long Branch as a junior A team, they had Mimico and Long Branch had outdoor boxes. It was asphalt that we were playing on. So if you went down on the knees with that, you got cut up pretty good. And Port Credit Arena, or even where the Green Gales played, it was a concrete floor, polished concrete. So it could be slippery at times if it's humid in the rink. And then with the pros, it was a combo. Like we had, a few rinks that they still had the wood, but the rest they went to the AstroTurf.
Now, I want to talk. I have the one thing here circled. I guess it was when you were playing out with London. You were blinded by a Czech soldier during a fight.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I mean, as Canadians, and we didn't just have Canadians. We had a few Swedes on the team. We had 3 or 4 Americans on the team. We had a really good club. Like we were playing the top Russian teams, Czech teams, and we were right there with every one of them. But that was the reason Norris sent the team that we had, because he was really trying to get this thing going. And that particular game, it got a little bit tough, and one of the Czechs stuck our captain Rick McCann, and we had a kid named Dennis Polonich on our team who played 5-6 years with the Redwoods. Unbelievable, 5'7", toughest little bastard I've ever been. He was my roommate. So when this guy stuck Rick McCann, of course Polo comes over the boards and just dished this guy, put him just about out with one. And then all of a sudden, they had soldiers in the rink. It was communism then, so everybody's paired off. Half the Czech guys didn't know what was going on. Well, this guy and I were tussling, and the soldiers came over the boards, and I got sprayed with mace in my eyes. Seriously, wow. The soldiers came on the ice, so they finally sent us all to the dressing rooms, and they're pouring. I thought it was acid. I really did. I couldn't even see. So they poured murine into my eyes, and I finally got to see again. But I mean, it's not something you've ever experienced in your life. But a lot of that European year, there was lots of things like that. I could tell you stories that you just spin your head. Say, are you serious? And I go, yeah. But so it was. But I'll be honest. I just. 2 weeks ago, we did a Detroit Red Wing London Lion get together. Brian McCutcheon, who was a lacrosse player, won with Lakeshore Maple Leafs. You remember that, the Minnow Cup?
Right.
They finally beat Oshawa, and that was with Suggett and Billy Coghill and all them guys. Well, we got together, 4 of us that played on the London Lions, and it was the 3 best days. I mean, we played golf and we told stories, and everybody brought books with pictures from way back then. So it's the kind of thing that, it's magical. I mean, that's what sport is all about. That's what friends are all about.
Absolutely. I want to kick back a bit on about Jim Bishop, because I have a bit of an affiliation with the Green Gales, heading to Prague with them and going again soon. And I know Doug Louis is trying to keep Jim Bishop's vision alive with the Green Gales. How was he as a coach and as a manager to work for?
Jim was working with Windsor Warlocks prior to me going there. Like they had a major team. So I think Larry Lloyd might have even played there one year. I know there was a few guys. Jimmy Higgs had played there. I don't know. For me, Bish was a great lacrosse coach. I mean, they won 7 or 8 Minnow Cups. When he took all the Huntsville guys. I mean, they had to take half of Huntsville to Oshawa to make that work.
Right, sure.
The Clayton brothers, the Donnie Stinsons, and we had a great team with the PCOs then. But we would always be we'd get, 4 to 7 series, and we might win 2, and they were unbeatable. So as a coach, though, in the pro league, what I found, I came home, my hockey year was over, we were training at York University, and he was like, if you didn't have a job, he wanted you at the rink. So, and I don't mean he wanted you at the rink twice a day, like in the afternoon, and then when the guys come home from work, we got a major practice at night. And you know what? He was tough, but I don't know. It wasn't like he had the green gills anymore. You know what I'm saying? I've talked to so many guys from the green gills that said, they did whatever they wanted. They were all young. But, I mean, a lot of our guys had full-time jobs, and you just couldn't, you couldn't train and do what you did like you did in junior, like Jim wanted us to do in the pro leagues. Right. Was he good? Yeah, but you know what? This was all new to everybody. Nobody had ever had to do this before. You're coming home from work, getting on a DC-3 and flying to Montreal, and then you want shit practice the next day. People had jobs. So it was a little bit tough on a lot of the older guys. For me, I didn't have to work because I made good money in the winter playing hockey. So I spent a lot of time. But the other thing I said to him, Jim, I'm skating twice a week. I'm going back to Red Wing camp after the Toronto Tomahawk year, so I can't be at the rink every day. So there was a little bit of that went on.
Right. So we go through all this, and nearing the end of your career, you decide to join the Port Credit Fire Department.
Well, yeah, it was actually Mississauga, and the reason for that was we finished the year in Boston. I went back Red Wing camp, and they sent me to Kalamazoo Red Wings, which is basically in the International Hockey League. It was a brand new team in the International League. So I have 1 year left on my contract, and the interesting part of it all is I'm there, and I made the team, and so I got a call from the chief in Mississauga with the fire department, and he said, and he told me once, because he was going to hire me before I even went on to play hockey. He said, listen, I used to pitch fastball for the fire department guys when I was 16, 15, and I got to know everybody. So he said, we're hiring 21 guys. I said, well, I got 1 year left on my contract with the Wings, but in my mind, I said to my dad, if they send me to the American Hockey League and I'm one step away from the NHL, I'd like to do it. But I went to Kalamazoo. I liked it. I could have stayed there, but I had the opportunity. I contacted the Red Wings and I said, listen, I appreciate everything you've done for me, but I got a chance to get years old or 24 years old or whatever it was.
So
and I said,
I want to.
You still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gary? Oh,
Gary?
Maybe we lost Gary.
I am. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. No, I'm here. Yeah, my internet's doing weird things here today too. It's any day that ends in Y, it does weird things. Thank you, Roger. I want to fast forward because this is the major thing that I love this. Your cottage up in Huntsville, you have a reunion for all the 70s guys. Let's talk about that, because what was so important about that, more than just having everybody there, is we have guys who aren't around anymore, and this was so important to get everybody back together again. And it was important for the guys. It was important for history. It was important for everything. How did this come about? How did the idea first come about, and how did you go about getting everybody there? Because everybody at this stage is everywhere.
Amazing story. My wife is sitting over there having a cocktail and just smiling because how it started was Al Gordner and I grew up together. We played together. I lived at his home. Al was turning 70 years old. So I just mentioned to my wife, listen, we got our cottage up. It's north of Huntsville. And I said, I would love to get a few of the lacrosse guys together for Al's 70th. So, and my idea was maybe to get, maybe 16 guys or something, all guys like Jimmy Higgs is in Huntsville, Brian Thompson. I thought, well, let's get a few. We can play some golf and I'll smoke up some ribs and we'll do something at the cottage. So what happened was word got out about it, and Pat Differ was who was a great friend of mine. I love Patty Differ. I went to Abbotsford this year to see him, and we went to a game, and it was great. So, but all of a sudden, he sent something out because he said, I want to come. Okay, well, it started, we were going to have 16. Then it became 30. Then it became 50. And before I know it, Paul Suggett's phoning me. I got, people are emailing me. We ended up, honestly, Gary, 80 some odd people were at my cottage. And we had the best day. It was like magic. You had like Morley Kells, Bobby Allen, these coaches. Johnny Grant came down the driveway with Shooter Davis. Like, he's got a van full of beer. But so I had to actually rent porta potties because we're on a septic. And then in town, Brian Thompson, and who was a great player too, he was a counselor. We got a hotel that they gave us a great rate on that. So we had and Dale McKenzie had a drone. I don't know if you've seen the video. If you haven't, I'll have to get it to you. It's a video that Pat Differ did. It's got all the names.
Yeah, no, I have it.
It was amazing. And you know what? I still get emails from some of the guys saying thank you. So the second day we went to Deerhurst. It's a golf course here in Huntsville. There was 100 people at the golf course. So what was going to be 16 guys turned out to be 100. And the good thing was Dale McKenzie brought his wife and says, okay, well, who can my wife play? And I said, Dale, there's nobody here with a wife. It's all just the guys. Well, Lynn joined in and got to meet Dale's wife, and so played with Kenny Wright. So we put them together, and Deerhurst was amazing. The town of Huntsville was amazing. We went to the keg. We had the big, I don't know if you see the video, I've got a banner that is now in the Ontario Lacrosse Hall of Fame. That an amazing. It's got all the pictures. Every guy signed it. It was on the side of my cottage. I made them and sign it. It was huge. So I mean, the whole event was just out of the blue, but the guys are still talking about it today because they all wanted to be there, and it just was a fantastic day. 2 days.
That's the truth. That's the truth, because even when if I bring it up when we're at Sticks or whatever before a Lakers game, and I bring it up to Johnny Davis, you just watch him just light right up like a Christmas tree. Just about that in itself. Never mind the league. Never mind the playing.
Yes.
That particular weekend still is the most electric to a lot of these guys talking to him about it.
Meant to me. I mean, Johnny knew who I was, obviously, but he's a lot older than I am. But I mean, I said, Johnny, he came into our cottage, and Paul Worden's got the camera, so he's taking a picture of this. And I said to him, when I was a kid, I used to go watch the Port Credit Sailors Senior, Brampton Excelsiors, and Johnny Davis was like one of the best, and he's always going to be one of the best. I said, when I was a kid, I wanted to be, when you play road hockey, you want to be John or whatever. Well, when I was at the lacrosse box, I wanted to be Johnny Davis. And when I played, I became point on the power play from junior all the way up. And in the pros, I did that. But I used to practice shooting the way Davis shot. And so when I said that to him, he had the biggest smile on his face. And then, now he'll make me cry, telling you. So he's got tears in his eyes. And he honestly said to me, Gary, he said, you know what? I've been to the Hall of Fame, and he's not bragging. Johnny's not that way. He said, I've been to so many events. This is the best thing I have ever been to. And see, now I'm weeping up. And honestly, he said, I've been to everything, to all these events. This is the best thing you could ever done for these guys. So, yeah, that's how special it was.
Yep, and like I say, a lot of this, because there's some of them who aren't. I asked you up in Peterborough last week when I saw you. Some of the guys aren't with us anymore, which makes this all the more special because we can never recreate that particular moment, no matter how hard we try.
Yeah, well, I've got the video, boy, and I show it to a lot of people, so it's kind of nice to have that because that'll and all the guys, even they'll bring that up. Oh, well, I watched the video. It's, so it's kind of something that's pretty special. Could we do it again? I don't know that we could ever do it again.
Not with that kind of magic, though. Not with that kind of magic.
Yeah, just the age group there right now. Like going out to Abbotsford was so much fun. And I did that because you knew what happened with Pat last year. He had the heart problem, and
Yes.
I'll be honest with you, we were worried that he was even going to make it. He's an amazing guy. He's doing fine. Now, I don't know if you heard this. He's just been announced as the referee in chief for the Mann Cup.
I did hear that, and that's fantastic.
Oh,
fantastic news. Pat's such a great guy.
He called me a couple of times. He said, I'm so excited, Duff. He said, because when he finished his career in the Western League, he refereed hockey in the Western Hockey League, plus he was a referee, and he refereed Mann Cups, one in Brampton. And so this is pretty special for Pat after what he went through. So, I'm pretty excited for him. We chat once a week, Pat, all the time. He's a real great guy. Great player, too.
You caught lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And Pat, when he was on the show, he showed us the wall, that warehouse wall of all of his memorabilia, which is incredible.
Hey, if you could ever go to Abbotsford or get out west, you got to visit him. Barry Sullivan, I don't know if you would remember the name. He never got to play in our pro league, but he could have. He signed with the Red Wings. He was a hockey player, played for St. Catharines. Barry Sullivan showed up. He was on the Mississauga PCO team. And every morning we'd meet Pat in that little barn area. He's got a blue... And Barry, me, and Pat, 6 o'clock every morning, we're picking berries and challenging each other. Who could pick the most? It was. I got pictures I can send you of that. It was so special, And
right.
So, we did go to Langley. We went to New West. I love that rink. There was more of the old guys who went to New West than Langley, but that was pretty cool there. Johnny Davison and Tacky Vahalis from my Boston days. So it was just great, and it was kind of a mini reunion thing, but still special to be there. I mean, I'd love to be going out there for this Mann Cup. Six Nations has got a good team, but you know what? This is going to be a great Mann Cup.
Absolutely. And New West, the history on their side as well. And it's been a number of years since they won it, so they're excited as hell out there. I keep seeing stuff from Carol Goss, let alone Wayne and Warren, about all that stuff. So it's amazing, just all the history that's going to be shown, and the legends there that are going to be at this thing. It's just something you don't want to miss. Which is the next thing on the thing after I get to the president.
You can't even get a ticket. I mean, it's sold out. Everything is sold out. Interesting. When I was there, there's a guy. Richardson is his last name. He went over with the London Lions. He was played in the Western Hockey League. He's part of the board with the Salmon Bellies. And when we got to the rink, he sought me out, and he said, "I can't believe you're here." And it was like a mini memory because of our London Lions stuff. But he became a firefighter out west, and so he's part of the board of directors with New West.
Well, I definitely have to get out. I have family in Abbotsford, so I definitely got to get out there and see Pat.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you for sure, if you get a hold of Diff, he'll get you over to his place, and you'll be amazed. It was special for me too. Like just seeing the guys, and then I think I was 8 or 9 days out there. I had a blast.
Absolutely. I want to bring a little bit more into the state of the union of the game, where it is now from when you played, and the differences on what you see. Players, you guys obviously played both ends of the floor. Now we're into transition guys and specialty guys and all this. Do you think that's better for the game, or do you think it was better grassroots when you guys were playing every part of the game?
My own opinion, better when it was grassroots like us. I mean, I watched 3 games when I was out west, and last year I went to the Mann Cup in Peterborough. This transition thing, the offense, the defense. What it's in my mind, it has slowed the game down. Like your fast break guys, Al Gordonier was one of the best. Like Morley Kells would call it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 5. Okay, that's the crease men are your 4s and your 5s. Your 1 is your point man. Al Gordon used to take off and be gone, and there'd be breakaway after breakaway. I mean, I just watched the game with Langley and New West before when I was with Diff, and you know what? You got a guy going in one bench, the other guy's already out of the other bench, and there's no breakaways anymore.
Right.
In my mind, that slows the game down. The game I thought was faster. I mean, these kids are good. They're so good with their sticks and that, but that part of it, you know, you got some guys, all they do is play defense. We play both. You know, you play both ends of the floor. But I've talked to Johnny Grant about it, and I've talked to Was about it, and we're all standing up there in the the alumni room where I saw you. And at the end of the day, for me, no, I think I like the old game a little bit better.
Right. Plus, there's always that, if you're running down the floor, you got guys that are shoveling around trying to get things going. There's other things happening at the bench. There's a lot more hecticness about the game. Whereas now, it doesn't matter how fast he's going down the floor. He pulls up, wait for the offense. The other defense comes on, and they reset.
Yes.
So, yeah, that spontaneity isn't there either, and the creativity. Whereas, yes, with shooting, there's a lot of creativity, but that creativity of the play starting, I agree with you on that. That's gone. That's lost. I've been converting a lot of Bill Fox's collection from the 90s tapes and things, and watching some of these games, and even in the Mill League, the transition where it's offense going with the same guys, defense to offense, there's so much more action in there along the way than what we're getting now.
Yes, I agree totally.
Now it's funny because when we had Darius Kilgore on, one of the things that he had mentioned was in these things previous, it was like the Wild West, because something that maybe a change of possession probably would wind up with a 5-game suspension nowadays. Let's talk about some of the rougher things that are part of the game that may not be there anymore, and what they're trying to eliminate to make it TV fan friendly and the rest of this.
Sure.
When you were playing.
When I was playing?
Yeah.
You mean the rougher as far as the way the game was played? Sort of like hockey back in the old days?
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, at our reunion, there's a few guys that were at that reunion, just that were just tough guys to play against. I mean, I in my mind, it was pretty crazy. I mean, am I allowed to tell you a Dudley story?
Sure.
Sure. Well, we were playing in Rochester. I'm with Toronto Tomahawks, and Duds and I, we both lived with Al Gordon and his family. Like, we were all really, really tight. I'm still in touch with Dudley a lot. He's with the Florida Panthers. He's had a great career in management. But we were at a game. Jack Castelline is a guy from out west. We used to call him Goofy, and if he was to hear the podcast, he'd like it because he liked being called Goofy. So we're playing. we're honestly playing in Rochester, and Jack was a big guy, but he would play and hack and whack, and I think he was like a tough guy from out west. Well, Dudley was one of the best I've ever seen. I don't know if you ever watched any of the Sabre games back in the day. He fought a guy, Bob Kelly, Battleship Bob Kelly from Philly.
Oh, yeah.
If you Google that, just go Dudley and Bob Kelly, you're going to see a fight like you've never seen. And they went to high school together. Like, they're buddies. And it's unbelievable. But at the game, Castelline is whacking Dudley. Dudley kept looking at him. Finally, he'd had enough. So Duds drops the mitts. Castelline's down quick. So they're both in the penalty box, and Jack is still chirping, and we're watching from the Toronto bench, and I'm going, geez, what is he doing? So they get back to the floor. Doesn't Castelline go back at him again? So, again, Dudley puts him down, flattens him big time. So now one of the guys goes over, Jack's lying there. And know what he said? Is he gone yet? Seriously.
Can I get up?
So it gets better. Bishop is our coach, so they both get kicked out of the game. So after the game, I go to Bish, and I said, Bish, listen, Al Gordner's mom and dad are here. My mom and dad are here. Is it okay if I stay in Rochester tonight and not go back in the bus? But I'll be at practice in the morning. I mean, my parents are here. And so Bish being Bish, I was surprised. He said, yep, Duff, that sounds good. Just make sure you're at practice tomorrow. No problem. So we're up in a motel room, and I play guitar a bit. So we're having a little sing-song, and I taught Duds how to play guitar. So when he came up, I said, Duds, are you still playing? He goes, yeah. You got to know Dudley to talk to him if he's not on a lacrosse floor or on a hockey rink. So he picks the guitar up, and my mom is there, Mrs. Gordonier there, and so he sings "Love Me Tender" on my guitar. No kidding. And so my mom came over and said, "Is that the man that just about killed your player?" And he's singing "Love Me Tender." I said, "Yeah."
Oh man,
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you.
That's hilarious. When that comes to mind when I think about Rick Dudley is the headband.
Oh,
never mind helmets and that. He wore a headband when he played hockey.
Oh yeah. He played for the Dixie Beehives with us, and we had to coax Al and I had to coax him to come out and play. Can I tell these stories too? This is pretty funny.
Go ahead. We got some time.
Okay, he couldn't skate very well, but he had legs as big as like trunks. Dudley's so strong. So because we were on the Beehives, we have the Chicago Blackhawks pants and everything. That's where the Beehives, St. Catharines Blackhawks. We were the junior B team to the St. Catharines team. Duds comes out, he had borrowed everything. Well, you know your hockey pants, how they come down. There was meat hanging out of the side of his legs, like his socks didn't fit. And so they were doing stops and starts. Dudley, honest to God, if we were skating around the rink and you know how you cross your legs, you speed up, slow down, he could do it one way, he couldn't do it the other way. So at one point in the practice, he came and looked at me and Gordonier and he said, "You guys are assholes. Why did you bring me out here?" So he went off the ice, took his skates off. Next thing you know, we look up in the stands. Howard Pallett was the owner of the Beehives, and his kid Keith was our goalie. Doug's just sitting up the stands having a hot dog and a Coke with Howard Pallett. And he's left the ice. He's up there sitting in his equipment. Pallett's laughing with his Beehive hat on. Well, 2 practices later, they signed Dudley. And honest to God, he is a man that I think he could play any sport there is. That's how good he became, but it took him a bit of time. But that same year, he went up to Catharines Blackhawks. But the reason they brought him is he kicked the shit out of everybody in the Montreal Junior Canadiens. Mark Tardif, he just, and he stuck with it and went to the WHA, went to the Sabres. Look at the career he's got now in management. It's just amazing what he's done, Rick Dudley.
Yeah, he's developed a really good reputation as far as, well, he was with the Leafs for a little while.
He had a coffee. Well, he was with the Leafs. He was with Chicago when they won the Stanley Cups.
That's right.
He was head of player personnel. I mean, he's in Florida now. I'm in Naples. I go for 5.5 months every year. We're down there, and I go over to see games. So it's kind of great. Just give Duds a call. No problem, Duff. I get to see him. So, and he wanted to actually go to Abbotsford. We almost got him there, but because of Differ, because he was really tight with Differ too. But he had to go to Czechoslovakia for that. They have the under 18 or something every year in August. Yeah. So he couldn't. That's what he does. He's a real hockey man and a great guy.
Well, Duff, this time just flew by. It's incredible how fast these shows go.
No kidding.
I just want to take the time to thank you for taking your time with us, because again, the MO of the show is to make sure that the stories stay, long after everybody's gone. So that's what my goal has always been, is to make sure that you guys and your stories are out there for everyone to enjoy and snicker and laugh and have fun with. That you guys, as well as the roadmap that you guys had created for where we're headed. So again, thank you so much for taking the time with us.
I've loved it, Gary. I met you from the first time, and I think what you guys do is so amazing for the game, and it's just great. And just keep up the good work, because it's a great game, and you guys are going to make it greater. Just people like you are helping to make this game greater. I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate the history that you've shared with us and the time that you've spent with us. And we're sorry if we made you cry a little, but it was a nice cry, not a bad cry.
Oh no, not bad. Well, my wife's gonna say you big suck.
and then
All right, boys.
hand you a cocktail.
Well, I got one in front of me now. She just brought it over.
See,
So
I knew that. That's a
All
good
set.
woman taking care of you.
you got it. All right, boys.
All right, say hi to her too and tell her we want to thank her for helping us hook up here.
For sure. And Gary, I'll be seeing you again because the Peterborough guys, I'm going to go every year to Peterborough, so I'm sure we'll see each other again.
Perfect. Looking forward to
Okay,
it.
buddy.
Nice chatting.
Take care. Okay, guys.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No problem. All right.
So
Great
for Duffy
chat.
McCarthy and Gary Groob, I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching NLL Lacrosse Talk, seen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Lacrosse Talk, news, entertainment, and other sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. And don't forget to check out Candid Frank Stanisci on YouTube. Until next time.